You wake up, grab your phone, scroll for a few seconds without really seeing anything. You get out of bed because you're supposed to. You move through the morning on instinct. Shower, clothes, coffee, messages, all the motions are there. From the outside, everything looks fine. You're functioning, you're answering, you're showing up. And if someone asked how you are, you'd probably say, "I'm okay." Not because it's true, but because it's easier than checking. And there's no dramatic sadness in this moment, no crying on the floor, just routine, just another day starting the same way the last one ended. But some struggles don't scream, they fade. Depression doesn't always look like tears. Sometimes it looks like endurance, like learning how to survive your own days on autopilot, like doing everything right and still feeling slightly disconnected from your own life, as if you're watching yourself from a few steps behind. And the hardest part is that this version of pain looks normal. Society sees productivity, responsibility, control, and because nothing looks wrong, you stop listening to the quiet signals inside. You start believing that this is just how you are now. This isn't about labeling you. It's not about putting a name on you or boxing you in. It's about understanding what your mind has been quietly asking for while you've been busy holding everything together. Because there are habits that feel normal, so normal that almost no one questions them. And some of them are actually clues that your inner world has been running on empty for a long time. Let's talk about 5 of them. And the first one is so common, so invisible, that most people don't even realize it's already shaping how they live their days. Most people think depression is supposed to be obvious, loud, heavy, something you can point at and say, "There it is." Crying in the shower, not getting out of bed, breaking down in front of others. But that's only one version, and often it's not the most common one. Chronic depression is quieter. It's low volume, stretched across time. It doesn't crash into your life, it slowly drains it. You keep going, you keep functioning, and because nothing explodes, no one panics, not even you. It can look like emotional flatness, not sadness, just less. Less excitement, less interest, less reaction. It can look like constant tiredness even after resting, as if your body's awake but your energy never fully arrives. It can look like losing direction, not knowing what you want, not because you don't care, but because everything feels equally distant. And this doesn't happen because you're weak. It happens because your system has been overloaded for too long. When stress, pressure, disappointment, or emotional pain don't get processed, the mind adapts. It lowers the volume, it numbs, it slows things down so you can keep surviving. So if you recognize yourself here, it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means your nervous system has been trying to protect you the only way it knew how. That's why these signs are so easy to miss. They hide inside behaviors that look normal, responsible, mature, controlled. But when you see them together, a pattern starts to form. In a moment, we'll go through 5 of those patterns, counting down from 5 to 1. And number 1 is the quietest of all, the one that steals the most from your life without making any noise. Number 5. Living on autopilot. Your days start to blur together. Monday feels like Thursday. Last week could have been last month. You wake up, you move, you do what needs to be done, work, messages, obligations, but nothing really lands. Conversations happen, tasks get completed, and yet when you look back, it feels like you weren't fully there for any of it. Time passes, but it doesn't feel lived. This isn't because your life is boring, and it's not because you've stopped caring. What's happening is quieter than that. This is emotional numbing. When stress or sadness lasts too long, the mind turns the volume down, not to punish you, to protect you. Feeling everything would cost too much, so your system chooses neutral instead, flat instead, safe instead. So if you catch yourself thinking, "I'm just lazy," or "I don't feel like myself anymore," pause there. This isn't laziness. It's not a lack of gratitude. It's your nervous system conserving energy after running on overload for too long. Here's something small you can try, even on a bad day. Add one conscious pause, just one. One deep breath where you actually feel the air come in and out. One moment where you notice where you are, your feet on the floor, your back on the chair, the room around you. Not to feel better, not to fix anything, just to be present for a few seconds. Because presence is often the first thing to disappear. And once you start noticing how often you're not really here, you begin to see that autopilot is only the surface. What comes next is even quieter, and most people don't realize it's happening at all. Number 4. You start avoiding small tasks, and then you judge yourself for it. Messages you haven't answered, chores that would take 5 minutes, decisions that should be simple, they pile up quietly in the background of your day. And the strange part is, you know they're small, which somehow makes the guilt heavier. You think, why can't I just do this? And every time you don't, that question stays with you. What's really happening here isn't a lack of responsibility, it's a lack of mental energy. Depression drains executive function, the part of the brain that initiates, organizes, and follows through. Tasks that don't give immediate reward start to feel massive, not because they are, but because your system is already running on empty. So no, this isn't carelessness, it's not immaturity, and it's not a character flaw. This is mental overload. When too much has been carried for too long, even the smallest weight feels unbearable. Here's a micro step that actually works when motivation is low. Choose one task that takes under 2 minutes. 1. Do it imperfectly. Don't optimize it, don't turn it into a system, just finish it and stop. Completion matters more than momentum right now. One finished thing teaches your brain that movement is still possible. And if this pattern sounds familiar, pay attention to the feeling underneath it, because as these small things pile up on the outside, something else is quietly disappearing on the inside, and that's what the next habit reveals. Number 3. You start saying whatever to almost everything. Where to eat, what to watch, what music to play, what plan to make. It all feels the same, so you let others choose. You call it being easygoing, flexible, low maintenance. And on the outside, that's exactly how it looks. But on the inside, something quieter is happening. When preferences fade, it's often because the emotional signal behind them has gone weak. Choice requires desire, and when nothing excites, choosing starts to feel pointless. Not because you don't have a personality, but because your system is tired of reaching for things that don't give anything back. So let's be clear, this isn't maturity, it's not indifference, and it's definitely not you outgrowing your wants. This is emotional fatigue. When you've been running on empty for too long, even wanting something feels like work. Here's a small way to push back without forcing motivation. Reclaim one tiny preference a day. Just one. I prefer this. That's it. No explanation, no debate, no pressure to feel excited. Identity doesn't come back in big revelations. It rebuilds through small choices repeated over time. And if you're noticing how long it's been since you last felt a clear yes or no, stay with that awareness. Because the next habit goes even deeper. It doesn't just blur your preferences, it starts to blur your sense of direction. Number 2. You stop imagining the future. Not in a dramatic way. You're not sitting there thinking everything is doomed. It's quieter than that. Planning just feels pointless. When someone asks about next month, next year, even next week, your mind goes blank. Not dark, empty. You're not hopeless, you're just unable to see ahead. This happens because chronic depression changes how time feels. When the present already feels heavy, the mind stops reaching forward. The future requires energy, imagination, and belief that effort leads somewhere. And when you've been carrying too much for too long, your system narrows its focus to now, to getting through today. So if you tell yourself you're pessimistic, pause. This isn't a negative mindset. It's not a lack of ambition. Your mind is tired, and tired minds don't think in long timelines. They can serve by shortening the horizon. Here's a way to work with that, not against it. Don't plan months, don't plan a year. Plan 3 days. Just 3. One concrete thing you'll do in that window. Something specific and manageable. Short horizons rebuild trust. They remind your system that the future doesn't have to be imagined all at once. It can be approached in small, survivable steps. And if even 3 days feels like too much, notice that too, because the final habit is even more silent. It doesn't erase plans. It slowly erases the feeling that life is something you're actually living. Number 1, and this is the quietest one of all. You're functioning, but you're not really living. You show up, you perform, you do what's expected of you. You survive your days efficiently, responsibly, without making noise. And from the outside, it looks like strength. But inside, joy feels distant. Curiosity doesn't pull the way it used to. Desire for people, for projects, for the future feels muted, like it belongs to someone you were a long time ago. Life isn't painful all the time. It's just something to get through, something to manage, something to endure. Psychologically, this is one of the deepest signs of chronic depression. Not sadness, but disconnection. When life becomes a series of tasks instead of an experience, it means your system has shifted into survival mode for too long. And survival works, but it's not meant to be permanent. So hear this clearly. You are not broken. You didn't fail at life. You adapted. And that adaptation kept you alive during something that asked too much of you. There is no shame in that. Here's a question you can ask today, without pressure or expectation. What would make today 5% lighter? Not happier, not meaningful, just lighter. One small adjustment, one gentle act of care. Survival slowly loosens its grip when your body starts to feel even a little less burdened. And if this one hit closer than the others, stay with that feeling. Because recognizing this pattern isn't the end of the story. It's the moment where something new can quietly begin. If you recognized yourself in more than one of these, pause for a second. You're not alone. Many people live like this for years without having words for it. They assume this is just who they are now, that this low-level heaviness is their personality, their fault, or the price of being an adult. But what you've been feeling has a logic, a pattern, and patterns can be understood. Seeking support isn't failure. It's not giving up. It's self-awareness. Talking to a professional, or even to one safe person you trust, is a form of intelligence. It's what happens when you stop demanding strength from yourself and start offering care instead. Because when you name what's happening, you stop fighting yourself. You stop wasting energy on shame and self-judgment. And that's where change actually begins. Not with force, not with motivation, but with understanding. If you feel comfortable, tell me in the comments which numbers spoke to you. You don't have to explain, you can just write the numbers. There's no rush to heal, no pressure to become a better version of yourself overnight. Just permission to see yourself clearly and to take the next small step with a little more kindness than before.